We all have our outs. We all have that thing. We all have that we rely on. And some people more than others. And some people have to deal with that pain over and over and over again. And so our job is to have Sarah sit in that shame and that guilt for just a little bit longer. Because what we talk about is we talk about people who are resistant, people who are not willing to do the work. And that is not true. The truth is that they are ambivalent. They are constantly debating. And what we believe is we believe that we are pulling them along. But that is not how it goes. The truth is that we have this debate in our head over and over and over again. And we need to be able to move through that. We can relate with people that struggle with substance use because either one, been there, done that, which most in this field have, or two, our drug is something else. And we debate over and over again. And so when we start looking at people as ambivalent rather than resistant, because resistance means that that person knows what their problem is, they know how to deal with it, they have all the tools in the world, and they are choosing not to do it. When that is not the case, we're talking about people that have these pros and cons going on in their head. And sometimes that weight of those cons, we need to put more weight there so that they make different choices. You are really contemplating between these two things. Let's start looking at those two things and starting to put some weight on the pros and cons of that. And so we do that through making a decision tree. We do that through figuring out, okay, what are the pros and cons? Let's write this stuff down. Let me ask you, what do you really want out of life? Let's start to increase change talk and decrease sustained talk. What in the world does that mean? That is motivational interviewing at the core. Change talk is anything that communicates moving forward. How many of us have a conversation with somebody and it's like, yeah, I really want to do that, but here's this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem. And that's where the conversation goes. Motivational interviewing is stopping them at the yes, I want to change and saying, wow, you really want to move forward with this. That's amazing. Stopping them talking about the negative and getting them to talk about the change. And so to get really good at motivational interviewing, you need to start identifying the change talk and stopping them there. Let's start talking about what that looks like. And so motivational interviewing is all about acronyms and what is which. Change talk, darn cats, okay? Your desired statements. This is, I want to, I need to. These are statements that people are stating that you need to stop them, pull that out and say, wow, you feel like you really need a change. Tell me why. It's not about tell me all the reasons why you can. It's about tell me why you want to change. What would it look like when you change? What is your desire when you change? This is about the ability statement. I could do that, but these are all the reasons why I can't. Stop them there. You could do that. Absolutely, you could do that. What is one thing that you can do today in order to get you to that place? We focus on the change talk and get them to stop talking about the sustain talk. Sustain talk is anything that meets the status quo, okay? Now, recovery is messy. It is super, super messy. It is not an ABC. Now, change is messy. It is not easy to do, and we go back to our old behaviors. For those of you who are managers, you have the same conversation with your staff every single month. Hey, are you going to meet your productivity this month? And then they say, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do it. I'm going to get on board and they're doing great. And then they meet it for that month, but they don't meet it for the next or the next or the next. Sometimes we have these conversations with people. We get people rallied up. They get all excited. They're like, I'm motivated to do my job like an expert. And then something happens where they go back to the status quo. Our beautiful organ up here, it makes pathways that are ways that we do things. And there are little roads that go through. And when we do change, we create another little road of a different way to do something. And that little road is awesome because now we can divert from our regular behavior. But guess what? That regular behavior never goes away. So sometimes we jump back over to that old road and it's messy. And sometimes we have to continue to find new pathways in order to do things. And until we can do that for long term, change doesn't happen. Sometimes in a team setting, you're going to find that a lot of people on the team are underneath this stress, which causes discord within the team. And sometimes managers can come in and they can do some motivational interviewing and they can do some crisis intervention and they can change things. Other times managers are part of the problem. And so sometimes you need a little bit of a mediator. Mediators are wonderful. Trust me, for all of you who do wraparounds, who conduct child and family team meetings, you guys are mediators. You know how to go into a team and be real. And so how do we deal with discord? Number one way, be honest and admit that you're wrong. It sucks to admit when you're wrong, but that is the number one way to be able to say, hey, you know what? I think that I screwed up. I think that there's something in our relationship that's not working. And I have a couple of ideas for me on what that is, but what is that for you? Because I think that both of us are playing a role here, and I need to take responsibility for my role. Sometimes you know your role, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it was that thing that you said that you didn't know that you said that offended that one person that you didn't know that offended them because you thought that they like things direct, but apparently they don't. Or that one time that you forgot to thank them or praise them for the thing that they did that they really was looking forward to your praise and you never did it. Those are things that you don't know about. So sometimes by addressing that conversation, addressing that meeting, will totally bring you to a place where you can start moving forward to change. Change management is hard. It takes a lot of work. But until this discord and this stress and this team stuff goes away, you're not going to be able to move forward. And so you need to stop where you're at and say, hey, I think our entire team has their lid flipped. And you know what? We need to address that because work does not get done. How many of you come in and you're so stressed out and you know you have so much to do that day you get absolutely nothing done? That's called stress. You need self-care. 2020, 2021, 2022, they suck for so many reasons. So many reasons. Okay. It's not just about health. It's about discord in relationships. It's about racial distress and harassment. It's about the anxiety and depression that everybody feels. If anybody's willing, have you guys dealt with any anxiety and depression in the last 3 years at all? I think every training I've done, it's been 95% to 100% of the people have said yes. This is real, but we need to get back into our rhythm because there are people in our community who need change. We need to progress forward, but until we can reflect on where we're at, we're not going to get there. Okay. So if you have a team that's not working well, you need to do an intervention. Find someone who is a really good mediator and bring them in. If that doesn't work, hire a mediator, bring them in. If that doesn't work, then you need to start talking to your executive staff about, hey, we need to start meeting this need. Okay. Stress level, once it goes away, then you can start talking about change management. Woohoo, change management. Let's make change happen. Let's get people to recognize the nail and move forward. And it's doable, but until you're out of crisis, you can't be there. Cal Ames is a huge endeavor. Doing your progress notes are a huge endeavor, but there are ways and systems that you can put in place that is actually going to transform the way you work. Cal Ames seems like a totally crazy thing, but guess what? We've been bitching about all these things for a really long time. And somebody said, oh, I heard you. I'm going to go in and I'm going to totally rearrange everything and I'm going to make it work. So you now can do co-occurring disorders and you can now put your billing in the same spot. That's amazing. I've been complaining about this for over 20 years. I got to do Medi-Cal and you want me to do it how? I can't bill for working on substance use because the main thing is supposed to be mental health. Well, I'm sorry, they go hand in hand. So Cal Ames can be amazing and you can get people on board because it's going to fix a lot of the stuff that we think have been broken for a long time. But it's a huge endeavor. But if you start talking about those things and you start seeing a vision for what it can be, the process to get to that vision doesn't seem so hard and so much of an undertaking. Going back to the process of MI, let's talk about it. Let's focus on what we need to do. Let's develop a plan and let's start moving towards that plan. Let's see what it can be. Oh, you mean I could start billing for people going into that court? Me going and visiting my client in jail, I can start billing for that? That's cool. These are really cool things that are happening that your organization needs to work on. Sometimes in order to get there, you got to fix some of the systems that aren't working. So you need to acknowledge what systems those are because all they're doing is preventing you from change. So there is that bigger picture that needs to happen. But that's why you have visionaries inside your organization. And if you don't, hire visionaries because they work. But it is exciting. It's just a long process. So how many of the folks who are implementing Cal Ames right now knows everything that I just told you that's going to happen? They probably don't realize how much this is going to make all of the things that they struggle with easier. My hope is that from this training, what you're really going to get out of it is, oh, I want to learn more and I can apply all the things I already know because I've already taken this training and apply it to my everyday life. Hey, I've taken tons of training on crisis intervention. I can take those skill sets and those interventions and I can apply them everywhere. Harm reduction. Guess what? We use harm reduction every single day. Harm reduction is that sexual harassment training you have to take every year. That's harm reduction. In your world, there are things that are best practices that you can apply. I can be a better mother because I understand these things. I can be a better employee or a better agent of change because I use what evidence says works. And surprise, it works in everything that you do.